Hi, you're live with Virus in Whitechapel, East London. On a brighty, bitey Saturday tea time. And today's edition is called East is East. And it varies slightly from the normal format. So today, a very detailed local history. 2 poems take you on some good vibes, but no walkabout as it's a foreign manner to me. Okay. Also, my condolences to Rahim Mahood, aka Rodney Barnett, and his wife for their loss. I say a prayer. And also, special shout out to Kerry and Jane, the prettiest twins in England. Right, so Whitechapel is a district in East London. It's part of the East End. It's part of the ancient parish of Stepney, Middlesex, becoming part of London in 1889. And Greater London in 1965. Okay. The area was the centre of London's Jewish community in the 19th century and the early 20th century. And it was a location of the infamous 11 Whitechapel murders that happened between 1888 and 1891. Some of which were attributed to Jack the Ripper. Later on in the 20th century, it became a significant spot for Bangladeshi community and immigration. Okay. So, as we walk down, we'll see the East London Mosque, but there's also the Royal London Hospital, and they're doing a great work during the pandemic. God bless them, God save them, all right? Okay. And you'll see that it's in Whitechapel Road is actually part of the Roman road, which was the start of the road that led to Colchester from the City of London. And today, Whitechapel Road and the High Street form part of the A11, which you may know. Okay. So, in the late 16th century, the area started to attract, we can say, less fragrant industries, such as tanneries, such as breweries and slaughterhouses. And with the shift in populations between the 17th century and the 19th centuries, it led to huge numbers of destitute people arriving in the areas, causing lots of overcrowding and poverty. One resident, William Booth, whose name is on several buildings in the area, William Booth, began his Christian revival church society in a tent on the burial ground in Thomas Street in 1878. And then later on, he formed the Salvation Army. So you've got to big him up. So I'm just going to take a left, take a right, take a left again. All right, all right. So as you can see, it's quite busy up here, in the pandemic. So carrying on. In Victorian area, there was massive Irish and Jewish immigration, and it added to the pressure in the area. I can tell you that, our old nemesis, prostitution, the British disease, it was endemic in the area. In 1888, the Metropolitan Police estimated 1,200 prostitutes of very low class, and also 62 brothels were in operation. Poor things, must be a hard life. The Elephant Man, also known as Joseph Merrick, was well known in Whitechapel. He was exhibited, that's right, exhibited in a shop in Whitechapel Road, this road here, before he was helped out by Frederick Treves. You may remember him from that terrible off film, The Elephant Man. The area, it was terribly damaged during the Blitz, all right? And the V1 and V2 bombs that landed also did terrible damage. So, moving on now. As you saw, it's famous for the Blind Beggar pub, which I bigged up by starting a video. Let me tell you, that's where Ronnie Kray ended George Cornell in front of a packed pub in 1966. But what is less well known, right, about the Blind Beggar pub on Whitechapel Road. How you doing, man? You okay? Take it easy, my brother. Yeah, so what is less well known, yeah, is that we've got where William Booth first held his first sermon in 1865 in that same spot, and then, as you know, later on went to film the forming the Salvation Army. Again, big him up. Right, so sadly, on the 4th of May 1978, and Al-Tib Ali was murdered. He was murdered by three teenagers, and the racists attacked on St Mary's Gardens by the churchyard there. This provoked mass mobilisation, yes, of the Bengali brothers and sisters in the areas, and the gardens of the churchyard were later renamed Al-Tib Ali Park in his memory. Salam alaikum. Right, so travel-wise up here, what you find is that the Metropolitan line between Hammersmith and Whitechapel was withdrawn in 1990. Don't know if you remember it. And instead it became the Hammersmith and City line. So the Royal Hospital London Hospital that I mentioned earlier, we're coming up to it soon, that was closed and reopened behind the original site in 2012. Didn't cost much, only 650 million. So now the census, okay, of 2011, so that's right, there's one this year, it's every 10 years. So the census of 2011, let's take a spin round, check out Whitechapel Road. Okay, so, you know, what's that about stay at home, everyone? Ram off round here. As I was saying, census 2011, well, it looks well normal to me, man, normal off. So 2011, the population white British, 24.4%. Black, 4.4%. Asian, 49.8%. There you have that, there you get the blend and mix. Okay, so in 1985, a large purpose-built mosque was built in the heart of Whitechapel. And it was further developed later on by a London Muslim community centre in 2004. We're going to pass the offices soon. And there you go. Notable residents of Whitechapel are many, including Damon Albarn. He's a singer from Blur, and also Jack Kidd Berg, the Whitechapel Windmill, British lightweight champion, 1934. Tina Childs, disco artiste. All right, okay. And also we had Ashley Cole, footballer. Abe Saperstein, founder of the Harlem Globetrotters. And also we had Avrom Stenchi, a Polish-born Yiddish poet. And last but not least, Jack the Ripper, serial killer. So, on to today's first poem. And this one here is called All the President's Men. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All the President's Men. So, on Wednesday the 20th of January 2021, Biden's presidency begun. He is the 46th man to take up that office and the latest occupant of the White House. Now, there's my grouse. There's my grouse. There's my first grouse. In a nation stolen from the Red Indians through blood and slaughter, built by terrorized, imported African slaves, and ruled by European-descended gun-toting knaves. Could you think of a more divisive name as the White House? Imagine 10 Downing Street renamed to Anglo-Saxon Retreat, or the Taj Mahal renamed as High Caste Hotel. Now it has started to gel. 12 out of 45 US presidents owned slaves. More than 1 in 4. Many owned them when they was living in the White House in office. 80% of the first 12, 10 out of the 12 had slaves in the White House. The United States founding fathers, them man, they're like George Washington and superstar like Thomas Jefferson, them man, them there. Founding fathers, they had all 600 slaves. Boy, when I was a promoter, I wish I could get that many people in a dance. 600 each and more. Here is a presidential. The left, the right, the left again. Okay. Wow, where he come from? Left, right, left again. Okay. Divide these two, the Thompson twins. Okay. So, presidential roll of shame. 1789, George Washington, 600 slaves. Thomas Jefferson, 1801, 600 slaves. Okay. James Madison, 1809, 100 slaves. James Monroe, 1817, 75 slaves. Andrew Jackson, 1829, 200 slaves. Martin Van Buren, 1837. Single slave. William Harrison, 1841, 11 slaves. John Tyler, 1841, 29 slaves. James K. Polk, 1845, 56 slaves. Zachary Taylor, 1849, 300 slaves. Andrew Jackson, 1865, 9 slaves. And Ulysses S. Grant, 1869, single slave. Could have even been me. Okay, breathe out. Deep sigh, exhale that stench. That's just America, but can you imagine the British, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Belgians, the Dutch and the French? Here is the climax of my tale, just as your brain, just as your souls begin to wail. Given the historic slave ownership by American presidents, and their kin, is not Ronald Trump a better reflection of their office than Beau Hayden when representing all the president's men? Okay, thank you very much, thank you very much. And straight on today's final poem. I wrote this one in 2011 and it was from my lovely niece, and it's pure poetry. It's called The Sparrow and the Wren. So, 1, 2, 3. The Sparrow and the Wren started off as friends and fell in love and set up home in a mountain glen. One day, the wren spied an omen, a storm to swallow a man, the sparrow. So in a haste, she gathered her brood and flew south at great altitude. Sadly, it came all to waste. The skies darkened and her nemesis hearkened. So they perished in a mortal embrace. That's a sad one. Thank you. You know what, that was a real love story. Okay, so as I just slip through this little gap here and I come up to the East London Mosque, I want to say to everybody that there isn't a major walkabout because I don't have no old school memories for this road here still. But I want to thank you for your time. You know, this is the East London Mosque. What a piece of mosque. And it was built here in 1985. There's the dome at the back there, the minaret, what they call the Azan. And it's just you know, a multicultural area. One love to everybody. You see everything you hear about on the news? Don't worry about it. It's all about love. So, as I said, you know how it goes. Over and out from me, Virus. Take care now. Alright then. Hope you're good. Alright.